Yes, yes, the Carsanovians. Yes, yes, the Carsanovians. All right, gentlemen, gather round, gather round. This is probably going to be a stupidly long live stream, but I want to use this stream to reveal 7 underground principles, which is going to make approaching women, especially in a daytime cold approach setting, 8,888 times easier. And if you're completely new here, you've got no idea who I am. My name's Kristian. I don't consider myself a dating coach. I'm certainly not a pickup artist, and I'm definitely not a day gamer. I view myself as a freedom from bullshit practitioner, and everything that I do is an extension of my freedom from bullshit personality. I believe the modern man has lost his balls. I believe we live in a society of programmable slaves. Oh, I'm bored, Netflix. Oh, I'm hungry, Uber Eats. Oh, I'm horny, porn. And we don't have a rite of passage anymore. We don't have to go into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights and return as men. Everything is easy and everything is comfortable. And one of my mantras is run from comfort like your life depends on it. I view daytime call approach not just as an incredible way of meeting wife-worthy women, but I view it as the most aggressive form of self-development. And if you've been attracted to cold approach and therefore attracted to my content, then it's probably because you want more from your life. Yeah. And it's not just in a dating setting. At least it wasn't for me anyway. Like at 23 years old, I did my very first daytime cold approach in Leeds City Centre in the Merrion Centre. And yeah, my initial motivation was because I wanted to get girls. Yeah, historically, I never really got the women that I wanted. I'd always settled for the ones that I thought I could get. I used to meet girls opportunistically, usually involved having a lot of alcohol in my system. And I just got to a point at 23 years old where I was in a relationship at the time. Everything was easy, everything was comfortable. She was a lovely girl. I'd met her parents. If I stayed in that relationship, we probably would have done the whole get married, have a kid, get a mortgage, have a dog, and then fucking die together. But I made a decision one day where I took a walk. It was during the pandemic. And I asked myself the question, do I see myself being in this relationship for the rest of my life? And immediately the answer was no. It was like I had some divine download in Leeds. So I went back that same day. I called things off with her. And that really was the catalyst for the rest of everything else that I did. And fast forward to today, my life is just so much different. But what I want you to understand is it's the person who we're becoming through this process. That's what this really is about. Yeah, I've shared my story a lot on these streams, but for those of you who don't know, or maybe you enjoy listening to it, I was never meant to get to this point. Yeah, I was never meant to be here. I was never meant to be making a business out of daytime call approach. I was never meant to be living in Bangkok, training Muay Thai. I was never meant to be making these YouTube videos and becoming proficient at daytime call approach. I sucked, like socially sucked for the majority of my life. I always felt like the ugly duckling. I grew up on a council estate in Barrow-in-Furness, which is kind of in the Lake District. My dad left the family when I was 5 years old, grew up in a single mother household. Mum was working multiple jobs just so she could support us. My mum's got a lot of her own mental health issues, so I used to take the brunt, like the emotional brunt of her stress. And that led to me developing a lot of deep people-pleasing tendencies, especially around the feminine. So in my early relationships, I struggled with always seeking approval or validation with the feminine. That came out in a multitude of ways. One of the ways was in the bedroom. So I used to have erectile dysfunction. I used to struggle getting boners with new women because I always viewed sexual performance as this make or break situation. I was worried if I couldn't satisfy my partner, she would leave me in the same way that my dad left me. and I would have some crippling fear of abandonment and not receiving love from the feminine. So I was always terrified of losing value in the eyes of the feminine. And then when I first started cold approaching, and you can see this as well on my early infield conversations, I don't honestly think I got that good at cold approach until about 2.5 years in, after getting coached, after watching a lot of my own infields back, putting myself out there online, getting a lot of feedback. And in my early conversations with cold approach, I wasn't going out there to get laid, honestly. I was going out there because I just wanted to feel wanted. I wanted to feel important in the eyes of the feminine. I wanted to sort of make up for lost time. Yeah, I was always the ugly duckling in the playground. I always felt invisible. I always felt irrelevant. But like, it was this weird feeling that I had inside of me, like from a young age. I don't know what it was. But I always felt as though I was destined for something great. I just didn't know what it was, yeah? And I didn't want to get to the end of my life feeling as though I had sleptwalked my way through my entire existence and then woke up one day when my best years were behind me, right? I didn't want to die with my music still inside of me. So daytime call approach for me represented freedom. It represented salvation. And I wasn't going out there to chase women. I mean, on the surface I was, but it's like, there's the reason and then there's the real reason, right? So when guys work with me one-on-one, during that initial consultation call, I'll ask them, yo, listen, what do you want? Yeah, like, what do you want out of this? And usually they'll give a surface level reason, like, oh, I want to learn call approach because I want to get more women. I want to be confident. I want to get a wife, right? So that's like, okay, that's the external thing that you want, and that's awesome. But there's an internal pain here, right? There's something that you're looking to satiate. And then the deeper we dig, the more we go underneath the surface, we realize the real reason. Yeah, and it's the real reason, which is your why, right? Nietzsche said, he who has a strong enough why can bear any how. So I think before you even get started with daytime cold approach, you want to know why you're doing this, because this is going to be your driving force in those dark days, right? Cold approach is not for the faint of heart. It's a roller coaster of emotion, very much like entrepreneurship. You're going to have a mirror held up to yourself 24/7, yeah? And it's going to show you who you are right now, who you want to be, and there's going to be this gap in between who you are right now, who you want to be. And the way that you get and bridge that gap is by outworking your self-doubt, eating shit for a long time. Understand that it's probably going to take a lot longer than you think right now. But by going out there with this mindset, understanding, why am I going out there? What am I looking to achieve? Freud said it best. The adult is developed to protect the child, right? I think we've all got that wounded little boy inside of us. Yeah, it doesn't mean that the adult, i.e. our parents, it's the adult that we become is developed to protect the child that we once were. So your motivation to get started with cold approach, and by the way, the deeper the pain, I think the greater the transformation. Yeah, the deeper the pain, the greater the transformation. If you're just like one of those guys who's like, oh, I want to learn cold approach because I want to get laid. Yeah, that's only going to take you so far. It's like wanting to make money for the sake of wanting to make money. Like, what does the money represent to you? For me, money is the language of love, right? Money is the language of love. I could sit down with my mum and we could talk about her financial problems, right? She could say to me, oh, Kristian, I'm really struggling financially at the moment. I want to buy this new thing, or I can't afford to pay my bills. I could sit down and I could talk with my mum about her financial situation. I could say to her, don't worry, there, it's going to be all right. Or, and we've heard the adage before, you put your money where your mouth is. Actions speak louder than words. I could just give my mum money because for me, that's the way that I can express love, right? I'm not motivated by materialistic things. I don't give a fuck about the Bugatti or the penthouse or some fucking whatever. I give a fuck about building something so I can look after the people who I care about, right? So your why might be similar to me. You might have always felt irrelevant growing up. Maybe you had a tumultuous childhood. Maybe you never felt as though you fit in. Maybe you're in your 50s and you feel as though you're running out of time. I have a lot of guys in my private community, the Entourage, who are in their 50s and their motivation was urgency. Yeah, they wish they'd have got started with social skills sooner. Then they hit the big 5-0. They were watching their friends settle down, have children, and they were starting to feel as though, have I missed the boat? Usually guys in their 50s, they make the most progress the fastest because they have to. Yeah, I had one of the guys that I worked with, Graham, in Krakow last year. The guy had never had a girlfriend in his entire life. He'd spent 3 decades stuck on the sidelines, always terrified of talking to women. He'd read the game. He'd known about all of this stuff for years, and he'd never taken action. And those years of inactivity, they compounded on themselves over time. And every year that went by when he didn't pull the trigger, those self-limiting beliefs became more and more difficult to break. And when he reached out to me at 50 years old, he was just straight with me. He was like, I need to get this sorted. It's not I want, it's I must. Yeah, so he flew, he met me in Krakow, we worked together, one-to-one. All of my coaching is one-to-one, by the way. Yeah, the guys who are accepted to work with me, there's none of that group coaching bollocks, right? It's one-to-one, it's individually tailored because I understand everybody is unique. Everybody needs a unique set of strategies to get the results that they need. So we work together one-to-one. And then within a week of us working together, he returned back home. He cold approached a 25-year-old woman, so a woman half his age. She then became his very first girlfriend. The two of them recently celebrated their 1-year anniversary together. And the reason why I always share Graham's story is because if he was able to do it, right, 50 years old, spent 3 decades stuck on the sidelines, never had a serious relationship in his entire life, flooded with self-limiting beliefs, got to Krakow. I remember the first day that I met him, I was outside of the castle in Krakow. He walked over to me gingerly, almost ashamed to be there, almost ashamed to be himself. And this was just like a shell of a man who just lacked the belief and the confidence. And honestly, it just felt like a miracle. Like he did 100 direct call approaches with me in Krakow. One approach with me is worth around 30 approaches on your own because I can give you the one-to-one individually tailored support, feedback, hold you accountable, give you that necessary push. Evidence has got the loudest voice, right? If Graham has been able to do it, if I've been able to do it, like there's nothing special about me, right? I was just this cripplingly insecure social misfit who grew up in the Lake District, right? Graham was able to do it. I've got countless guys in their 50s who've been able to transform their dating lives. If you're curious about the results that I get as well, in the description, you'll be able to, there's lots of different testimonials. I think that in this industry, nobody can compete with what I'm building. Nobody can compete with the results that I get. And it's because I've made my coaching program so effective, it would actually be impossible for you not to succeed, right? You get at the minimum 90 days of access to me. You get a one-to-one individually tailored coaching experience. You get weekly group coaching calls, weekly one-to-one calls. These one-to-one calls can be live in-field coaching sessions as well. So once you've completed those first 3 days with me, then I'm holding you accountable for the next 12 weeks. So you can be out in your city and you can have me in your headphones, literally doing a live in-field coaching session with you. So all of that doubt, all of that negative self-talk that you would have when you're out there on your own, you just book a call on my private calendar and we're there together in the field and I'm coaching you through the entire process. It's like I replace that voice in your head with my voice, right? We have this year, especially in 2025, we're holding Renaissance retreats, which are secret worldwide meetups all across the world. Nobody in this space has even had the vision to host these sort of events. So not only do our guys get one-to-one in-person coaching with me, not only do they get weekly live in-field coaching calls, they also get invitations to join me and the rest of our community in different locations all across the world. This means more coaching, more transformation, more crazy adventures. We cold approach together, we go out to the gym together, we go out for dinners together. This is the future of daytime call approach. It's no longer being the solitary lone wolf who's going out, no accountability, no feedback, no support system, just trying to, it's kind of like aiming at a constantly shifting target, right? What worked 4 years ago does not work anymore, yeah? You need community, you need feedback, you need accountability, yeah? That's why people pay money, a lot of money, for personal trainers or coaches. Like at this point in my life, I've invested over $100,000 into my own self-education, right? 23 years old, when I first started Cold Approach, I had no idea about business. I had no idea about sales. I had no idea about marketing. I didn't know how to talk to a camera properly. I mean, again, you can literally just go back onto my oldest videos and just see how incompetent I used to be when talking to a camera. And this past year especially, investing over $100,000 into my own self-education, courses, mentorship, networks. I've now built a six-figure business for myself. I've got those empire visions to scale it to 7, 8 figures again. I'm not motivated by the money. I'm motivated by what the money can do for me and the people who I love. Yeah, whenever I make money, I reinvest it back into this business because I have this obsession with progression. I understand the more money I invest, the more committed I become. Yeah, that's why I make my coaching program expensive, because if you paid me $20, you wouldn't give a fuck, right? Information is not valuable. Information is not going to do anything for you. It might give you a short spike of dopamine thinking you've made a difference to your life. You need skin in the game. You need to put your money where your mouth is, because what I found to be true in my life, the more I invest, the more committed I become. It's like you burn the boats. It's like, this has to work because now I've put skin in the game. Yeah, and that's the way that I operate. Like, we are building a community of savages inside the Entourage. We've got 6, 7, even 8-figure entrepreneurs. We've all got this obsession with progression. Guys come to me thinking, oh, this guy's just going to teach me how to cold approach. Nah, fuck that. Cold approach is just the first step. Yeah, this is the complete catalyst. This is a complete overhaul of everything that you're doing. I'm helping guys in the Entourage start their own YouTube channels. I'm teaching them content marketing. I'm teaching them how to live an international lifestyle, how to unlock freedom for themselves. Yeah, that's what this is about. It's about freedom. It's about a 2 middle finger salute to a society that wants to keep you static. Yeah, be a good boy, work your 9 to 5, ask for permission when you're allowed to go for a shit. So hopefully by now, you understand this goes deeper than day game. Yeah, this is taking a sledgehammer to all of the bullshit which has held you back your entire life. And Cold Approach is just the gateway drug that is going to wake you the fuck up and look at the rest of your life and think, I want more. I want it all. I want the women. I want the lifestyle. I want the social skills. I want to master the art of seduction. I want to learn how to get what I want. Yeah, that's all game is. It's just learning how to get what you want. And I've not found a better way of learning the art of seduction than daytime Cold Approach. And I spent a decade as a magician. 13 years old, I became a magician. I wanted to take a sledgehammer to my social anxieties. It took me about 2 months until I could pluck up the courage to actually approach somebody in Barrow Furnace and be like, oh, excuse me, can I show you a magic trick? Even magic doesn't come close. A decade of a magician, I think 1 year of Cold Approach is more productive, is more effective for your communication skills than performing magic. Because with magic, I always had props to hide behind. It's like they weren't rejecting me, they were rejecting my magic. But with daytime Cold Approach, going over there to a woman who you don't know, declaring your desire in a non-needy way, whilst people are watching, whilst people can hear you, while you're literally sacrificing your ego and everything you thought to be true about yourself in that moment, that's what turns boys into men. That's what happens when you forge a new identity through the fires of adversity. This skill set has completely changed my life. And if Cold Approach was a person, I would marry that person because I feel indebted to this process. And yeah, it's one thing to have changed my life through this, but then being able to actually make a career out of helping other guys transform their lives as well, like, that's the shit that I live for. That's why I get so excited every day to make one of these live streams. Because I'm like, I don't know who I'm communicating to right now, right? It's very much me feeling as though I'm talking to myself, just putting this stuff out there into the ether. But I just know for the right people, whoever you are, I'm talking to you directly. I know one day we're going to work together. I know one day we're going to be in a city working one-to-one for a full 3 days. I'm going to be giving you that playbook. I'm going to be holding you accountable for your actions. And then you're going to get the epiphanova that all of our guys have got, where you realize, fuck, this is way deeper than what I thought it was. I thought I was going to learn how to chat to girls. Then I realized this is not a game about learning tricks and techniques. This is not about what I say or how I say it. It's who I believe myself to be when I say it. Like, that is the gateway drug. That is the catalyst for the rest of your life. Cold Approach is the most aggressive form of self-development. And even if you've not started yet, or maybe you've been out the game for a little while, you've been on a little hiatus, and maybe you've checked back through the Cold Approach content to see what's new out there, and you stumble across my stuff, and you're like, fuck, there's just something different here. Like, this guy is not some weird charlatan who's just in it for like some quick money. Like, I'm in this game for life. Yeah, I am playing the infinite game. These are not games that we're trying to complete. Cold Approach, dating, fitness, money, health. These are not games that you complete. These are not games where you get to a certain checkpoint and then you just chill. These are games that we're in for life. Yeah? I don't believe in a surplus or a deficit. Sorry, I don't believe in maintenance. You're either in a surplus or you're in a deficit. I don't believe in maintenance. You're either growing or you're stagnating. People are like, oh, well, I'm just hitting my maintenance calories. No, you're in a surplus or you're in a deficit. And you've either got that obsession with progression or you're slowly dying inside. Yeah? And it was Carl Jung who said, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our life and we will call it fate. Until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our life and we will call it fate. You do not have dating problems. You've got human problems, and it's your human problems which manifest themselves into dating problems. So if you see a woman today and you think about approaching her, but you overthink, then you're probably overthinking a lot in your entire life. If you see a woman and you reject yourself on her behalf, that's not a dating problem. That's a self-worth problem. You deep down don't feel as though you're enough. And I've been in that position. I grappled with that for years. It manifested itself in a physical condition of fucking erectile dysfunction. It made me want to escape through drugs and alcohol and pornography. Like, I've been in those dark depths of the soul, but I knew that nobody was coming to save me. I understood belief followed action. I understood that there was a gap, right? There was a gap between the person that I was and the person that I wanted to be. So in this live stream, I'm going to share 7 underground principles, which are going to make cold approaching 8,888 times easier. I've got a little bit of notes on my laptop. Yeah, we've not even got into the stream yet, by the way. That was just the intro. So hopefully the intro was useful for you. If it was, drop the live stream a like. But that'll segue nicely into the first point, which is we become what we pretend to be. Okay? We become what we pretend to be. Now, this is not fake it till you make it. This is believe it so you can become it. I believe within all of us, there are a multitude of identities which are fighting for attention. Let me put that into plain fucking English. I think inside all of us, there is a conflict of agendas. There is a conflict between the person who we are, the person who we want to be, the person who we feel as though we should be, and the person who we've always been. I think every day we have to make a choice which one of these actors inside of us is going to hit the spotlight. Because I find for a lot of us, the way we've always been dictates the way we think we should always be, right? So if right now you want more from your life, you've got this vision of the man that you want to become, the money you want to be making, the women you want to be dating, the life you want to be living, there is a gap between your current reality and your future self, right? And this was the position that I was in at 23 years old. I knew in my mind who I wanted to become. The person that I wanted to become was a version of me who's speaking to you today, right? I have concocted this custom-made reality by having a crystal clear idea in my mind about who I wanted to be, not what I wanted, who I wanted to be. Okay. And rather than chasing a goal, I chased an identity. Okay. Who do I need to become to live the life that I want to live? Like, who do I need to become? What actions do I need to take? What actions do I not need to take? What do I need to remove from my life, which is no longer serving me? Recently, I've removed alcohol from my life. So I'm going completely sober. So drinking alcohol, just to get to like a 6-figure business level, yeah, you can do it. You can party on the weekends and still make 6 figures. 6 figures is not enough for me. I've got obsession with progression. As soon as I hit one goal, I want to hit another goal. Why? Because it's fun. Because it's a game. Yeah, we get one shot at this game of existence. So why would I stagnate? Again, you're either in a surplus or you're in a deficit. I see it all the time. Guys will get a girlfriend and then they'll check out of the dating game. They don't understand there's a big difference between getting a woman and keeping a woman. There's one thing to focus on acquisition. Retention is another thing entirely. That's why old school pickup is flawed. Old school pickup was the 5-minute sales pitch. How can you pretend to be a man of value to trick any woman into bed? Acquisition is for losers. Retention is the game. And I think the real game comes when you're actually in a relationship with a wife-worthy woman. Because women are never out of the game, right? I've got a beautiful girlfriend right now, but I'm not naive enough to think that she's off the market. No, when she goes out there into the city, she might get approached during the daytime. If she goes out to restaurants with her friends in the evening, she might get approached on her Instagram. She's probably getting DM'd by guys. She's never starved of attention, so she's always aware of her value. And something that I found to be true, and something that I would recommend that you consider as well, and I've done this in past relationships, is even though you're in a relationship, I don't think you should stop cold approaching. Because I think that for a man to feel his best in a relationship, he still needs to feel desired, right? But I think a lot of men will cheat on their partners because they crave novelty. And I don't actually think it's a sexual experience itself. I actually think they want this constant reassurance of feeling important, of feeling powerful, of still feeling desired by other women. So what I do now, and what I've done in previous relationships, and what a lot of guys inside our private community, the Entourage, will do, is continue to approach even when they're in relationships. Because the worst thing that can happen is you lose yourself in that relationship, right? The person who you were when the two of you got together has to be the person who you continue to be as that relationship continues, or even better, you want to grow as a person whilst you're in that relationship, right? So since I've been with my girlfriend, I've made more money than I've ever made in my life. Last year, I had my best financial month. I made $42,000 in a single month. From a kid who grew up on a council estate in the Lake District, $42,000 in a lifetime would have felt impossible, right? I was on £24.82 of universal credit in my 20s. I didn't know how to make money. Again, I was never supposed to be here, right? So making $42,000 in a single month, because I have this obsession with progression, because I understand the enemy of growth is comfort, I refused to sink into the comfort quicksand of complacency. So as soon as I made that money, I started training Muay Thai. Why? Because I knew if I had such an influx of cash, there was a version of me inside who would have just wanted to blow it, right? Who would have just wanted to, I don't know, go to a casino and bet it all on black, or go on an absolute bender, or go to Koh Samui, take my girlfriend to Koh Samui and just get drunk on fucking pina coladas every day. No. I took that money and I actually invested it into more coaching. So I went to a $15,000 3-day event in Dubai. I worked with William Brown for 2 months, which was not cheap. And I invested it into myself, right? Because I understand as soon as I achieve one goal, I need to set a new goal. Yeah. Otherwise, we start to get complacent. So I didn't just want to continue being the version of myself who my girlfriend fell for. I wanted to become so unrecognizable that she fell in love all over again with a completely different person, i.e. me. I don't know if that actually makes sense to most people here, but it makes complete sense to me. Because the moment you stop growing is the moment you start dying. And I think the worst thing that happens in relationships is the man stops being the version of himself who his girl fell for in the first place. Okay, so big difference between getting a woman and keeping a woman. I think once you've learned the skill of daytime cold approach, you unlock this sensation of abundance. And abundance is not always having, it's knowing you can have. Understand that. Abundance is not always having, it's knowing you can have. If you compare the self-made millionaire to a guy who wins the lottery, imagine a guy who wins the lottery, he gets lucky. He will most likely lose that money because his fortune was down to blind luck rather than skill. Okay, most lottery winners go broke. The reason they go broke is because they've not developed the skills, the character trait, and the belief systems to maintain that money. Okay, but if the self-made millionaire goes broke, he doesn't sink into some hyper-depressive state because he knows he's got the skills to make it back. It's exactly the same in relationships. once you've got a proven skill which allows you to get dates on demand with wife-worthy women, once you know you've unlocked a skill which unlocks the world, once you know you've unlocked a skill that allows you to walk out your house on any given day, at any given moment, approach any given woman, and by the end of the week, your phone book is flooded with high-quality options who are desperate to go on a date with you, you're no longer needy in relationships. I think most relationships today are based off of scarcity. Okay, you might be watching this and you might be in a relationship right now, like I was at 23 years old. You might be in some random situationship where, she's all right, she'll do. Yeah, most relationships are based off you just want someone rather than you actually want her. And what a shit way of living your life. What a shit way of living your life. That you're just settling. You're just settling for something that you think you can get. And you know you deserve better, but you're scared. You're scared of cutting the cord. You're scared of burning the boats because, oh no, I'm scared of being on my own. Oh, if I'm on my own, I might actually have to do something. I might actually have to put myself out there. I might actually have to become a new person. And that's why most people stay stuck, because the unknown, the fear of effort, the perceived effort involved to hit that next level, most people can't comprehend it. They stay stuck in that comfort quicksand of complacency. And one of my favorite mantras is most people live the same year 75 times and call that a life. Yeah, most people live the same year 75 times and call that a life. Yeah, it's like, dude, how long are you going to settle for? How long are you going to play it safe? How long are you just going to accept what you've got in front of you? And that's why I view daytime call approach as it's a glitch inside of the matrix, right? If you look at the way that society is set up, it's designed to keep you comfortable. As soon as you walk into a supermarket or a grocery store, what are the first things that you see? You see chips, you see fizzy drinks, you see alcohol. If supermarkets are healthy, then why the fuck do we have a health section? Like, just look at the game, dude. Like, look at all of the factors which are fighting to keep you stuck, right? And if you're not prepared to put yourself out there, to start daytime cold approach, to start dive bombing into discomfort like your life depends on it, then what you're saying is you are happy being a programmable slave. You're happy being a bot who just is told what he can do. Oh, but improving myself is scary. Yeah, too fucking right. And that's why it's worth it. Right? So you don't have dating problems. You've got human problems which manifest themselves into dating problems. Your addiction to comfort, your desire to want to settle. You think that you should be having more, but your actions don't align with your ambitions. So we are what we pretend to be. That was the first point. And again, it's not fake it till you make it. It's believe it so you can become it. Okay? So if you can pretend to be confident, you are by default a confident person. If you pretend to be charismatic, if you pretend to be the world's greatest cold approacher, the world's greatest copywriter, we are what we pretend to be. Okay? So the blueprint is really simple. Have a clear idea of the man that you want to become. Write it down in what I would call a personal renaissance document. If you want help doing this, by the way, I've got a free course. It's called My Most Fuckable Man course. I'll link it in the comments once this live stream's finished. There's a module titled Mindset Mastery, okay? And in that module, I walk you through the process that I've used to rewire my entire internal belief system. So what you do is you have a clear idea of the man that you want to become, and then you pretend like you already are that person. As Neville Goddard would say, you assume the state of the wish fulfilled because you become what you pretend to be. So you can make a decision today that you are the world's greatest copywriter, you are the world's greatest cold approacher, you are the world's greatest salsa dancer. And it doesn't mean that you are the thing right now, but what it does is it programs you to think in the way that that version of you would think, right? I live my life like I'm already a millionaire. I just don't have the money in my pocket yet, but I operate from that place of the wish already fulfilled. So I'm like, okay, what habits would I employ? What would I do on a daily basis? What toxic habits would I remove? Again, I've removed alcohol from my life because that's what the millionaire version of me would do. Okay, so I reverse engineer it. I feel as though I become a new person every week. Yeah, every week I'm like, okay, what's the next mountain to climb? What's the next dragon to slay? What's the next mission to conquer? So I'm living my life in that way. And once you created your personal Renaissance document, because I do think it's important to write this stuff down, and you refer to yourself in the third person as though you've already achieved the thing. Again, it's all in that document. So once this live stream's finished, first link in the comments, you'll be able to create that personal Renaissance document for yourself. But it's 93% in a game is cold approach. Yeah. All of this, dude, all of these nonsense charlatans online who are teaching cold approach, all they focus on is technique, right? What to say, how to stand, what to say. None of that stuff matters until you actually overcome the self-limiting beliefs below the surface. It's like trying to build a house on sand. It doesn't fucking work until you've got the foundations in place. Yeah, you could watch my infield videos. You could try and replicate exactly what I say with the exact same delivery, dressed in the exact same way. It would not work because it's not what you say, it's who you are when you say it. Yeah, it's an identity game. So first step that I would say, we are what we pretend to be. Create your personal Renaissance document, look at it every single day. The Renaissance might change as you do, but once you've got that set in stone, now you've got accountability, because now you've got an idea of the person you want to embody. And once you've got that idea, it's much easier to reverse engineer it. So that's the first principle. We are what we pretend to be. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, just drop it a like. I can't communicate with you on this side. So if you drop it a like, it lets me know that you're actually enjoying the stream and getting value from it. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is second order consequence thinking. Okay, second order consequence thinking. So I actually learned this from a guy named Sam Ovens. So Sam Ovens mentored my mentor, William Brown, and I've got a lot of Sam Ovens's mindsets and thinking installed into me now. As soon as I understood second order consequence thinking, it completely changed my life. And I want to explain it to you in a really simple way, because if you understand this concept, it's going to transform the way you approach cold approach, business, relationships. I would go as far as to say it will transform your entire life, because it will prevent you thinking short term. Most people think in days. The best minds on this planet think in decades. Okay, so let me distill this to you and explain how it's going to help you attract wife-worthy women, master the art of daytime cold approach, and live a life free from bullshit. So second order consequence thinking is simple, and I'll use a really simple analogy so you actually understand it. Imagine one day I decide to buy a television, right? And imagine that my motivation to buy a television is because I'm bored during the evenings, right? First order consequence thinking is thinking, how will this affect me in the short term? Well, in the short term, I will no longer be bored. I will be entertained. I will have something to do. So maybe I get more dopamine and that makes me feel happy, right? Most people make purchasing decisions or decisions in general, whether it's choosing a partner, choosing what to eat, choosing what to install into their homes, they view it through the lens of first order consequence thinking. So their only mindset is, how will this satiate me in the short term? But if we can switch to second order consequence thinking, using the example of the television, this is literally how billionaires think. And if you can understand this now, you are way ahead of the curve. Second order consequence thinking would look at that television and not think how it's going to satiate me in the short term. They will look at that television and think 5, 6, 7 months ahead and think to themselves, okay, if I buy this television, what is it going to take away from my life? Well, I've invested money into the television, so I'm probably going to want to watch it every single evening. Okay, what's the consequence of watching the television every single evening for the next 5 months? Well, you're going to be more distracted. You're going to be more programmable. You are, rather than spending those couple of hours working on your business or practicing an instrument or focused on learning some new, I don't know, thing about crypto, your attention is now being sucked by the television, right? But most people don't think this way. Most people just think, I'm bored, I'll buy a television. I'm hungry, I'll eat a burger. But they're not looking at the second order consequence of their decision. If I eat a burger today, then maybe that affects me tomorrow. right? This is one of the reasons why I surrendered alcohol from my life, because I was thinking so first order consequence. I was thinking to myself, oh, do you know what? I've got a free evening tonight. Yo, let's go out. Let's go to a party. That'll make me feel good. I was using alcohol as an escape mechanism, right? But then when I put it through the lens of second order consequence thinking, I'm like, hang on a minute. By drinking alcohol to excess, this is affecting my Muay Thai training. This is affecting my ability to show up consistently on my content. This is affecting the way that I show up during my one-to-one calls, during my group coaching calls. And if I don't stop this now, it could actually destroy me. It could actually destroy my business. So it's gone. Boom. And I've got accountability from my private community, the Entourage. I didn't even realize the effect, the power of the community that I'd built until this recent week. We call it the Entourage effect because guys have lent on our group to overcome many different bad habits. So we don't just use it for cold approach and accountability to get out there and get your reps in. We use it to overcome addictions. We use it to get support, to get that no bullshit, kick up the ass accountability. So maybe a guy wants to start creating YouTube videos consistently. So he'll post it into the group. Hey lads, I'm going to do one video every single week. Hold me accountable. And because I am the founder and the leader of the Entourage, I don't have a choice now. I will not touch a drop of alcohol because I've got that accountability, because I would lose trust with my community if I was to go back to that version of me. Yeah, the version of me that I didn't want to become, but I got sucked in because of first order thinking, right? And this is especially true in daytime cold approach. Listen to this because this is so fucking important. Because we live in an age addicted to immediacy, everything is available at the touch of a screen or the swipe of a button. Our brains have been fried by TikTokian algorithms, the infinite scroll, swipe, 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 swipe. We have officially now got attention spans worse than goldfish, right? So it's no wonder why guys can't stay consistent with something like daytime cold approach, which is probably one of the most difficult things you're ever gonna learn. And I don't make any false claims about cold approach. This is not a walk in the park. This is not some quick fix, some overnight success. Daytime cold approach, if you truly want to unlock the skill, it's going to require everything you've got and more. It's a complete overhaul of your current character, your fitness, your finances, your mindset, the way that you show up, pretending to be a completely different person, rewiring your entire internal belief system. Look, you'll get these bullshit marketers online who are selling these one-off coaching sessions. Oh, come and do a 3-day boot camp with me. Maybe you'll get results, maybe you won't. And then you'll go to that boot camp, you'll be on a coaching program with 20 other guys, and you'll just be left to your own devices, right? It's like an MDMA experience. You get this massive high, but then what happens after the experience? If you've got no accountability, if you've got no support system, if you've got nobody in your corner for weekly live coaching calls, then you're fucked. You ain't gonna do it. It's not an overnight fix, right? It's a complete overhaul of everything. And we become what we practice, okay? So with daytime cold approach, I view it as a practice of delayed gratification. And this is when we can go back to systems thinking like billionaires. If you can understand that the actions that you take today will compound over time, okay? I started making videos on YouTube for this channel in 2020. And quite honestly, I didn't really start to see the sort of traction that I expected to see until around 3 years in. I would say this year, especially, it was around March time when I moved to Bangkok for the first time, or when I flew to Bangkok for the first time. I noticed everything started to get dialed in more. And because YouTube is the only social media platform that compounds on itself over time, videos that I published 2 years ago were now getting interest, right? They were accruing interest over time. So it's like I'm planting seeds, and those seeds, it might take 1 month, it might take 1 year, it might take 10 years, but over time, they start to flourish. So you might go out today and you might do 5 direct daytime cold approaches, which is fucking awesome, right? So let's say you go out today and you do 5 direct approaches. So you go over to 5 different women and you give them a compliment. You say, hi, excuse me. I know this is really out of the blue, but you look amazing. What are you up to today? Oh, that's nice. Hey, are you on WhatsApp, right? You might do that 5 times, but all of those approaches might not lead to anything. They might not lead to a number, a date, an Instagram, a happy ending, right? You might get quote unquote rejected. But what the average NPC doesn't understand is blessings on your courage, boy. That's the way to the stars. That's the Roman poet Virgil. What the average person doesn't understand is it's the compounding impact of the actions that you take. So let's say you've been consistent with cold approach for the past 6 months, right? And let's say one day on a rainy Thursday, you approach a beautiful woman in Liverpool Street Station in East London, right? And let's say that approach goes amazing. And let's say that woman becomes your girlfriend. Most people would just see that approach as happening in isolation. But what they don't understand is that approach was the byproduct of the thousands of other approaches that came before it. And deeper than that, that approach was the cumulative impact of everything you've done up to this point, the man you've become, the reps you've put in, the habits that you've removed, the investments you've made into yourself, the people you're spending time with. I don't believe in the one. I believe in the notion of soulmates. I believe there are women who have been put on this earth specifically for us. And it's our job as masculine Renaissance warriors, as anti-game artists, as freedom from bullshit practitioners to become the version of ourselves who's ready to receive these women. So my current girlfriend, if I'd have met her 4 years ago, I never would have got her because I hadn't yet become the version of myself who was ready to receive her. I was still super needy 4 years ago. I lost myself in relationships because I was terrified of losing those relationships. I had no idea how to set boundaries, how to #hold frame. I had no idea how to continue being the version of myself who the woman fell for in the first place. So if you can understand and think through second order consequence thinking, which is the actions that I take today, I might not see a payoff until another 6 months. But this is what confidence is. Everyone will tell you, be confident. They don't even define what confidence is. Socrates said the beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms. What is confidence? If I asked you, what is confidence? What would be your definition of confidence? Just have a think about it. I'll just take a sip of this H2O. How would you define confidence? Imagine you were stood at the centre of Old Trafford, Manchester United Stadium. Let's say there were 75,000 people all looking at you, and you had to give your definition of confidence. What would you say it actually was? Because most people want confidence, but they've got no fucking idea what it actually is. Maybe you think confidence is feeling comfortable in your own skin. Maybe you think confidence is certainty. A lot of people seem to think that. When I'm certain, I'm confident. Okay, I can accept that. For me, true confidence is optimism in the absence of certainty. That's what confidence is for me. Confidence is optimism in the absence of certainty. Meaning, you can take actions today. You might not see the payoff for another 90 days, but you've got optimism in the absence of certainty that eventually you're going to see the fruits of your labor. If you ever read the book From Good to Great, there's a concept in that book known as the Stockdale paradox. And the Stockdale paradox essentially is this dichotomy of thought whereby the Stockdale paradox is about believing that you can achieve anything that you set your mind to, believing with enough time you can achieve greatness, but also understanding that you need to tackle problems as they arise. Okay, so if you've got optimism in the absence of certainty, if you believe you can get a girlfriend from daytime cold approach, if you know in your soul you can build a business, you can create wealth, you can build internet money, you can have an amazing girlfriend, right? If you know that, that's awesome. But you also have the foresight to understand along the way there are going to be problems which need to be tackled, right? And this is a lethal combination. If you've got delusional optimism and irrational confidence that you can do anything you set your mind to, but you also have the social intelligence to realize there are going to be problems along the way and I'm going to need to learn how to solve these, then you'll become unstoppable, okay? But second order consequence thinking, this is how billionaires think, not thinking in the short term, not just thinking, oh, she's hot, I want to go to bed with her, right? Okay, if that's what you want, then fine. But really what we're building inside the Entourage is we've got entrepreneurs, we've got business owners, guys who are making way more money than me. These are the guys that I spend my time with, the guys who I network with, the guys that I make connections with. And what all of our guys are really looking for, most of them at this point, we've got some guys in their 20s as well, what they're really looking for is wife-worthy women, right? They want women whose values align with their ambitions because, okay, a lot of guys just view it through the lens of, is she hot and does she do everything that I say? And if the answer is yes, then they'll want that woman. But it's like, second order consequence thinking is, imagine the two of you had a child together. Your daughter, if you had a daughter, is going to inherit the traits, the characteristics, and the personality of your partner. Okay, so you need more, in my opinion, than for her to just be hot and do everything that you say. So have this long-term perspective. It's the same if you're creating content online, right? You put a video out today, set it and forget it, right? Move on to the next video. A lot of guys, I see it with like beginner guys who are starting like YouTube channels or posting on social media. They will violently obsess over one video. They'll be refreshing the metrics to see how many views it got, and they view every upload as a make or break situation. It's like, dude, forget about it, right? It takes at least 100 videos to start to find your flow. In the same way, it takes at least 100 direct call approaches to start to develop proficiency. The reps are the reward. All that matters is your action focused rather than outcome dependent. And with enough reps and with enough time, the rest of the world is going to catch up. So yeah, that second order consequence thinking, I learned that from Sam Ovens, and yeah, he uses that example as well. Point number 3 is focus on being repulsive to women. So I spoke about this in the live stream yesterday. A lot of guys are focused on being attractive, right? And I actually think this theory, this way of thinking is flawed because the issue that I see amongst most men is they're trying to be universally attractive. Right? They're trying to be everything to everybody. Every approach is this make or break situation. Oh, I hope this woman likes me. But rather than trying to be everything to everybody, the goal is to be a somebody for the right somebodies. Okay? So the whole game that we're all playing is to attract our people and repel the rest. Okay, the majority of women on this planet are not going to want me, and that's absolutely fine, right? I spoke about it on the stream yesterday, which is, imagine you're trying to build a business. A lot of people think they need millions of people to make millions of dollars, but after I read a piece of literature called 1,000 True Fans, my mind was blown. Imagine you had 1,000 people who absolutely loved you, die-hard cult following of 1,000 people, and imagine all of those people paid you $1,000. 1,000 people paying you $1,000, you've just made $1 million, right? You don't need millions of people to unlock a millionaire lifestyle. You just need to find the right people who give a fuck about you, and you've got an incredible life. And it's the same with cold approach. Like, when I was learning this skill, I would say about 2.5 years in, I finally started to overcome my people-pleasing tendencies and trying to be everything to everybody and going out there for validation, etc. Now, it was a case of, I'm going out there to find my girls. I'm going out there to find my fuck yeses. And if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. A lot of bozos in this space, like, oh, good game is being able to convert maybe girls into yes girls. I'm like, what a fucked up way of thinking that is. Like, why the fuck would I spend and waste my energy, my, like, prized energy, trying to convince somebody into liking me? It doesn't make any fucking sense. For me, the best relationships are with the fuck yes girls. Like, as soon as you go over, they're just into you. They're just on. They're just asking you questions. They're lighting up. Their pupils dilate. That's the fuck yes girl. And I think that's who we're going out there for. And again, other bozo advice in this space is always be closing. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, at the start, yeah, that can be useful for a beginner who's got a lot of anxiety towards going for women's numbers. That's understandable. It depends on where you're at. We're all operating on our own timeline. But once you've got skin in the game, once you've done your first 100 direct call approaches, which honestly, hopefully by now, you've actually done those. I've been making a live stream every single day for an entire year, right? And if you've still not gone out there and you've still not done 100 direct call approaches, then something seriously needs to change. Because why the fuck are you watching these videos? Yeah, if you're just watching these videos to pass the time for entertainment, then I'll be completely honest with you, stop fucking watching them. Because they're clearly not having the effect they're designed to, right? I make these videos so you take the information and transmute it into implementation. For fuck's sake, don't be one of those guys who gets to 50 years old, has spent 3 decades consuming content, and now is in this scramble to try and fix their life. Yeah, you can do it, but it's going to take a lot more effort, and it's going to take a lot more willpower. So do something with these videos. Don't just watch them and just consume. It's like wanking into the wind. Yeah, it's not going to make a difference until you actually do something with them. So once you've done those first 100 direct call approaches, now you've got skin in the game. You've gone through this immersion period. Really now you want to be focused on ABQ, which is always be qualifying. Never mind always be closing, always be qualifying, right? This is the way that you run a high-level business. This is the way you run high-level relationships. So when you're on dates with women, actually ask her questions, qualifying questions, like what's her family life like? What's her relationship like with her father? Where does she go to school? How many siblings does she have? If she has siblings, what are her relationships like? What are her plans for the future? Does she want to have children? What are her thoughts on being a stay-at-home mother? Like, whatever questions are important to you, ask these questions to the woman, right? Always be qualifying. This is how high-level people, and I've spent time in rooms with guys who are making $1 million a month, right? $1 million a month. The way that they operate, the way that they think is completely different to the average person. Always be qualifying. And again, put it through second-order consequence thinking, right? So how is this relationship going to affect you in the long term? If you're on a date with a girl and she's like, yeah, you know, I've got a shit relationship with my dad, I like smoking weeds and going out to parties on a Saturday night, and you're like, oh yeah, cool, this girl sounds like a good party girl. Like, what are the long-term consequences of that? Like, you might start hooking up with this girl, your energy gets diluted, you start involving yourself in toxic habits with her, so now you're not being consistent with your business, you're no longer being consistent with call approach, your momentum goes to shit, and then once that relationship turns to dust, you're like, oh, stood there with your dick in your hands thinking, well, that was a fucking waste of time. So I think it's important as well that you don't cash out too early. This is a really important point. I think the worst thing that can happen to guys, especially if you're learning this skill on your own, is you just get lucky with an approach. Let's say you've never done approach before, and let's say the third approach that you do, you end up in a relationship with this woman. You've not developed the skill, so you're still going to feel needy in that relationship. You've not yet developed the knowing that you can have. So honestly, I would say when you first start learning this skill, especially if you're doing it on your own, if you do the approaches with me, it's different. Because again, one approach with me is worth around 30 approaches on your own. I just allow people to skip all the trial and error. Yeah, so if the guys that work with me, they just get 15 years of battle-tested social expertise condensed into a single weekend. So I just remove all the guesswork. So the guys in the Entourage don't actually need to worry about this. But if you're doing this on your own and you meet a woman and the third approach that you do, she becomes your girlfriend, then when that relationship turns to dust, that's a dangerous position to be in, because it's almost like, I think the worst thing that can happen if a guy goes to a casino, I think the worst thing that can happen, if that guy has got addictive tendencies, the worst thing that can happen is the guy actually wins. Because if you do cold approach properly at the start, you will learn how to lose. You will learn how to lose well. Your ego will start to get dissipated. You'll realize the more you open, the more you close. You'll realize it is all just a game. Everything is forgettable in the most liberating way possible. The worst thing that can happen to a guy with addictive tendency is to go to the casino and win straight away, because now he thinks every time he plays, he will win. So I think the longer you can train yourself to eat shit, understand that the man you are today is not the man who you will become, the way you start is not the way you finish, then you just need to learn how to lose. You need to learn to eat shit for a little while, and don't cash out too early, right? It's like holding on to your fucking crypto, yeah? Just like hold on to that shit. Hold on for dear life. Understand that the quality of woman that you're able to attract right now is going to be very different in 5 years' time. So for fuck's sake, don't jump into a woman and get her pregnant. Now you've got a kid. Now might be getting married with it. It's like all that potential has been destroyed because of your inability to think long term. So yeah, I think that's really a really important point. Focus on being repulsive to women. You want to focus on attracting your people and repelling the rest. And that simply means being polarizing. Polarizing means just being honest, right? That's the reason why the stereotypical bad boy is such an arousing archetype, because he just does what he wants to do because it pleases him to do so. One of the things that pisses me off in this space, and I have full empathy for guys such as yourself who might just be feeling really confused, like with all the information that you're getting. It's like, oh, to attract women, you need to be a high value man. It's looks, money, status. Or if you've gone down the pickup rabbit hole, it's push, pull, vibe, stack, neg. Has she hooked yet? You need to learn the London day game model. You need to learn all these lines and routines. All this like notion of being a high value man is fucking stupid. For me, if you actually want to hit this supernatural level of seduction, you become transcendent, which feeds into anti-game artistry. And all this means, in plain fucking English, is you just do what you want to do because it pleases you to do so. The best decisions come from a place of abundance. The worst decisions come from a place of scarcity. And most guys are making decisions based off of scarcity. How long should I wait to text this girl? Is complimenting a woman low value? Can I hold the door open for a woman, or will she think I'm a simp? All of your decisions are coming from these low frequency states of shame and guilt. Once you move up the totem pole of consciousness by focusing on good habits, cold approaching, being action focused rather than outcome dependent, running from comfort like your life depends on it, removing toxic people from your life and surrounding yourself with like-minded savages, now you start to make decisions based off abundance, meaning you just do what you want to do because it pleases you to do so. Imagine right now somebody wired you $30 million tax-free into your bank account. Imagine you brought up your online banking, you did your little face recognition, screen pops up, oh, I've got $30 million in my bank account. How would you operate? Imagine how you would act. Imagine if you had $30 million tax-free right now. Well, imagine how generous you would be. Imagine how carefree. Imagine how non-needy you would be. Like Neville Goddard said, assume the weight of the wish fulfilled. Act as if you already are that version of yourself, that abundant, carefree, liberated nihilist who just does what he wants to do because it pleases him to do so, because he doesn't give a fuck anymore. And it doesn't mean that you stop caring. It means you stop obsessing. Stop consuming all of this bullshit content. All game comes down to is open and close. That's all it is. It's you developing yourself internally to become the most fuckable version of yourself, internally and externally, because yes, looks do matter. There's a big difference between looking good and being good looking. It's within any man's power to improve upon what he's been given and play his hand to the best of his ability. I used to look like a fucking turnip and I improved myself. If I've been able to do this, you can do it as well. And when I say if I've been able to do this, I mean everything that I've done in the past 2 years, especially. Like 2 years, I went full time on this business. I went from having £24.82 of universal credit in my bank account to building this 6-figure business, scaling to 7 figures, love to get it to 8 figures as well, right? There's nothing special about me. I just had an idea about who I wanted to be. I shut out all of the noise. I rejected everything from my reality that no longer resonated with me, and I made my actions align with my ambitions, right? So I want you to be able to see yourself in me. I want you to say to yourself, if he can do it, I can fucking do it as well. Like, that's the attitude. That's what we're looking to attract inside the Entourage. It's okay if you're not the man that you want to be right now. That's fine. But what we want inside the Entourage, what I'm really looking for the guys who apply to work with me, is a willingness, is a desire to have this obsession with progression, right? You might not be making the money right now. You might not look like you want to look. You might not be living the lifestyle. But if you've got that drive, that desire, that determination to do everything within your power to rise to the fucking top, then that's what the Entourage is for. It's not for made men. It's for guys who want to become made men. Yeah, for guys who are like, right, I want to evolve. I want to elevate. I understand the way to the top is not a solo expedition. I need to have my other teammates around me. Cold approach is not a solo sport. It's a team sport and it's an extreme sport. Shout out to Joseph inside the Entourage for dishing up that quote. It's fucking incredible. The days of being the lone wolf solo player are dead, right? You can get started on your own, that's fine. You're not going to do it all on your own. It's not sustainable, it's not healthy, right? I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into my own self-education. The reason why I do that is because I understand I can't build an army of one. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi. Those guys get to the top because of the team they've got around them, not just on the pitch, but behind the scenes, the coaches, the nutritionists, the whatever other fucking coaches they've got. So yeah, that's an important point. But yeah, just focus on being repulsive. Yeah, being repulsive to women. Point number 4, starting to get sunny. Point number 4 is the deadly combo. Okay, so having this deadly combo of learning cold approach and also unlocking an international lifestyle. Okay, so if you can do both, you become dangerous. I think that most guys just have one or the other. I'll meet a lot of guys who can live internationally, but they haven't yet developed the skill of daytime cold approach. I'm like, what's the point in traveling if you can't talk to people? Right? Or you'll get other guys who have unlocked the skill of daytime cold approach, but they don't have the funds to actually start traveling. So in my experience, if you want to start living internationally, it takes about $2,000 US recurring every single month. That you can pretty much go anywhere on the planet, $2,000 US recurring every single month, or you could just work your bollocks off at your 9 to 5, save up $10,000 and then just go travel the world. I think being able to travel the world and have the skill of daytime cold approach in the modern world is a lethal combination, because I think what needs to be understood is you're only as good as the location, right? Environment is everything. And I think that if you are going to focus on learning cold approach in 2025 and beyond, there needs to be a focus on also building an international lifestyle for yourself, because you could be the world's greatest cold approacher, but if you're stuck in Peterborough working a 9 to 5 job, which drains you of all your energy, then you're only as good as your environment. And more than that, you actually want to be positioning yourself in the places where you find the women attractive, where you're treated best. Environment is everything. Good game cannot make up for a shitty location. When I started Cold Approach, I started off in Leeds, right? Leeds was not the city that I envisioned myself for the future, but it was a city for right now. So I learned daytime Cold Approach in 2020. It was during the pandemic. All I knew was face masks and social distancing. Nightclubs were closed. Dating apps were oversaturated. I couldn't get women through my social circle because I had no fucking friends. So Cold Approach became the only viable option for me. But I knew that the reps that I put in Leeds would compound over time. And then when I went to Brazil, when I came to Bangkok, when I went to Belgrade, to Barcelona, to Copenhagen, I've solo traveled to over 30 different countries right now. And it all started in Leeds, right? So even if you are confined to one location, do the best with what you've got. You can take weekend trips to nearby locations. So if you do live in Peterborough, for example, you can take the train, have a weekend in London, just have like your own immersion period where you aim to do 20, 30 approaches every single day. The beautiful thing about learning cold approach in a new city is you can recreate yourself in a new city, right? Nobody knows you. So you can just burn that to the ground and you can then return home a completely new man, a little bit like, it's like the hero's journey, like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, right? You go on that hero's journey and then you return back a completely different person. You take all of that momentum and you implement it into your lifestyle at home. So a really practical blueprint that I give to guys, if you are trying to learn all this on your own, just book a week off work. Book 1 week off work, go to a city, a nearby city. It could be in the same country, or if it could be like a nearby city in a different country, and aim to do 15 direct cold approaches every single day for 7 days. By the end of those 7 days, you'll have done 105 direct cold approaches, which is fucking insane. So well done. Then you just take that momentum, implement it into your busy lifestyle, and you go through the 3-step process that we teach in the Entourage, which is immersion, integration, selection. And then you're starting to live in this constant flow of romantic abundance where you're getting dates on demand, you know you can have, and you've also become a new person in the process. Then it's just a case of being consistent, not getting burnt out, not falling back into old habits. But that's what I would recommend to people. Okay, that deadly combination, learning cold approach, also building an international lifestyle, learn the skill in a different city, recreate yourself in a new location, and then return home a completely different person. I just think that's really important in the modern world, because I do think if you're just stuck in one city, then you are limited with what you can achieve. And also, the beautiful thing about traveling is you can start to leverage one of the most powerful attraction triggers. I would say one of the more lesser known underground attraction triggers, which is rarity. Okay, rarity is so compelling. I remember when I was coaching one of my clients, Efrem, in Warsaw in 2023. Efrem's biggest fear when he went to Warsaw was he was worried the women in Warsaw were not going to like him because he was black. And I reframed it instantly. I said, dude, the women here are going to love you because you're black. They don't see somebody like you every single day. So leverage the absolute fuck out of that. And by doing that, along with the other things that I taught him during the immersion, Efrem went from not being able to approach women during the day, having to go on fucking Facebook Messenger to like message women he went to high school with to be like, hey, are you single? And within a week, he was going on multiple dates. He had multiple dates lined up in a week. He was going on instant dates. He had 3 dates lined up on the same day. And I was just within a week. But I think what powered all of that was the reframe of rarity, understanding that we value that which is rare. It's the irreplaceability element of something which makes it rare, right? The more rare you become, it means that there are not anything else like you. If you look at gold, the reason why gold is considered valuable is because it's rare. The rarity is tied to scarcity. The more scarce you can make yourself, not scarce like in like a I'm in this scarcity mindset. It's like scarce as in rare, right? If you make yourself so wickedly unique that people are just thinking, I've never met somebody like this before. I cannot easily replace this guy. This guy has got something that I've not found in anybody else. That's when you become truly compelling. And by the way, I literally lay out how to do all of these things in my free course. So just go download it. It'll be the first link in the comments once the live stream's finished. It's called my Most Fuckable Man course. I literally lay out how to do all of these things. But rarity, go into the places where you're valued, go into the places where your relative sexual market value is higher. And I think you want to treat locations the same way that you treat the dating game. You want to have a broad selection. You want to experiment with lots of different flavors until you find your flavor. So I think that's really important. Yeah, deadly combo, cold approach, and international lifestyle. Do me a favor, boys, drop this live stream a like. We've got a few more points to go. I don't know how long I've been speaking for, but hopefully this live stream has been somewhat useful. Yeah, just drop it a like whilst I cleanse my palate. Okay, so the point number 5, I've already mentioned this one, but it's play the infinite game. Okay, so cold approach, dating, fitness, health, these are not games that we're trying to complete. They are games that we never want to stop playing. Okay, if you can find a vehicle like a business that you love so much you never want to stop doing it, then it's going to help you overcome all of those limiting beliefs and roadblocks along the way. I do see probably the biggest problem with guys who want to master the art of daytime cold approach is they're not consistent enough, and they lose consistency because they don't get the immediate results, right? So I think what you need to understand when you are learning daytime cold approach is you don't want to get the immediate payoff, right? As we discussed, if you can go out there and just say to yourself, I'm going out there today, not for the women, but to improve myself as a human being. If you can view the reps as a reward, and rather than going out there to chase the women, you're chasing an identity, then that's going to be a game changer for you. Because when I first started cold approach, people used to say to me, be detached from outcome. I was like, well, yeah, cool story, bro. That's like saying to a guy who's starving to forget about food. I'm like, the mind kind of needs something to focus on. Otherwise, I couldn't really comprehend it. So the mindset that I focused on, the outcome that I focus on, the outcome that I get my clients to focus on is just the rep itself, right? Just do the thing, right? Do the thing without expecting a payoff. And if you can do that, then you will win. In the long term, you will outperform everybody else who's just going for those quick, easy wins, right? So if you can train yourself to play the infinite game, and this is something that you can practice throughout your life. If you're running a marketing agency right now and you're leveraging cold emails or cold calling, then you are going to get a lot of rejections. But rather than picking up the phone or sending that email to get a sale, you're doing it purely to get the reps in, to get those points on the board. And if we think about it through the lens of second order consequence thinking, imagine after you've cold called for a year, imagine after you've cold approached for a year, imagine after you've mastered cold email for an entire year. So it's the reps. That's all we're focused on. The reps are the reward. That's how you make it with daytime cold approach. It's action focused rather than outcome dependent. And the majority of people who are going out there, they're just looking for those quick, easy wins to satiate their ego. But you can separate yourself from the herd. You can set yourself apart from pretty much every other man on the planet by doing the thing simply to do the thing. Yeah, so rather than going to the gym to get a better body, you go to the gym to establish the discipline, to become the version of yourself who goes to the gym. Now we're hitting a different level. Now we're embodying the version of us who we want to embody. Because what does that $1 million version of yourself do? Yeah, if he sees a beautiful woman, he will approach her without hesitation. He will go to the gym. He will train religiously. He will send out those cold emails, or maybe he'll hire somebody else to do it for him so he can buy back his time. Always be putting your decisions through the highest version of yourself. What would that $1 million version of me do? Then make your actions align with your ambitions and understand we're playing the infinite game here. Next point, seduction is sales. Yeah, this is like one of my mantras, but seduction really is sales. If you are entrepreneurial in any way, shape, or form, cold approach will allow you to make more money, right? And I'm not saying making money in the sense of you will make money by being a cold approach coach. The thrill that you get through daytime cold approach, the way that it helps you to get so locked into a moment. Like I remember when I was learning cold approach, I would go to London and I would do easily 80 approaches in a single weekend, right? I would do 80 approaches on a weekend. I would get the National Express. If anybody knows what the National Express is, it's like a really cheap coach service in the UK. So I would get the National Express from Leeds to London. I would go there for a weekend. I would practice cold approach. And then I would return back to Leeds early Monday morning, be ready to start work at fucking 8 a.m. on the Monday. But like when I got to work, I felt like a different person. Even though I hadn't slept that much, I felt more productive. I felt more coherent. I felt more alive. Yeah, I honestly think that is the feeling that we're all chasing. I think we're all chasing this feeling of aliveness. I think that's why at 18 years old, I decided to do my first solo skydives. I wouldn't do that anymore because now I actually feel as though I've actually got something to lose. But when I look at everything that I've done in my life, 18 years old, I did solo skydiving. At 20 years old, I traveled to America. I was a lifeguard in America. 23 years old, started daytime call approach. 27 years old, started learning Muay Thai. Everything that I do is like, I want this feeling. I'm not chasing a person, an outcome, a product. I'm chasing a feeling. I want the feeling of the thing. I think that's what we're doing all these things for. I think the world is run by feelings. So as soon as I understood that, I'm like, oh, the women also almost became secondary because now the approaches were actually about me, the way that I wanted to feel, the sense of self-adoration that I was able to ooze from me. And I think something happens to men who learn cold approach. You're not the same person anymore. It's like if you watch the movie Fight Club. It's like when the guy goes to the fight clubs and returns to work with the black eye, it's like he's not the same person anymore. I feel as though once you get really in the trenches, getting your hands dirty with daytime cold approach, it's like having a virtual black eye, right? Like a metaphorical black eye. It's like you become a different person. You're no longer part of the ordinary world anymore. And I do see daytime cold approach as a reactionary movement against the ordinary world. The ordinary world that just wants to keep you stuck and static as a spectator. It's like, no, this is my life. I get one shot at this, and I'm going to do the things that I want rather than settling for the things that I think I can get. Seduction is sales. And to make you understand this really clearly, when you're going out there to cold approach, as far as I'm concerned, if you can go over to a woman who you don't know, stone cold sober, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the street, whilst people are looking at you, if you can approach her, if you can get her to stop, if you can carry a conversation for between 5 and 8 minutes, if you can successfully close, whether that's a phone number, an instant date, or something more, then you can make money. You can make a lot of money. Because I think what people don't understand with daytime call approach is you are learning sales. You are learning how to sell. It's the same with sales. Every sale is the same. Jordan Belfort talks about this in his book, The Way of the Wolf. He talks about his straight line system. It's the same with call approach. Every call approach is actually the same. It's open and it's closed. This is open, this is closed. And with every sale, with every approach, we are simply going from one side to the other. And along the way, there are going to be things that we need to take care of. Maybe you run out of things to say. Maybe you have some objections like, I'm in a rush, I have a boyfriend, oh, I'm actually seeing somebody. You need to learn how to overcome these in order to get from A to B. All approaches are the same. All sales are the same. Seduction is sales. And as soon as I understood this, it kind of made the process easier. Because I'm like, well, I'm going out there today simply to find people who are ready to buy. Yeah, again, like I was saying before, we're going out there to find our fuck yeses, right? A bad client can never become a good client. I know as soon as somebody gets on the phone to me, I know as soon as somebody books in an application call, I know in myself if this is somebody that I want to work with, right? I don't take everybody on as a client. I say no to more people than I say yes to. And the reason is your success is attached to my reputation. So if I don't think I can get you a result, but deeper than that, if I don't like you as a person, I don't want to work with you. Because think about it, just think about it from a logical perspective. So you know that this isn't some bullshit marketing ploy. In my entourage, I give you one-to-one, right? A 3-day one-to-one in-person coaching experience. You also get invitations to secret worldwide Renaissance retreats. You also get weekly one-to-one calls. You also get weekly group coaching calls. Do you really think I want to be spending time with somebody who I don't like as a person? Fuck no. I don't want to be spending time in fucking, I don't know, Belgrade with a guy that I don't like. So yeah, you need to have money, but you also need to fit the vibe check. I need to make sure everybody that I introduce to my private network raises the collective consciousness. Like, these are guys that I would go to war with. These are like my brothers. These are like my family. I don't speak to hardly anybody in my blood family, but fuck blood family. Like, this is about real family. Like, guys that you've actually spent time in the trenches with. Guys who, like, dude, we have weekly group coaching calls in the Entourage, and guys will share things on those calls that they've never shared with anybody else. We talk about personal struggles. We talk about flaws. We talk about addictions and things that we're struggling with. Like, these are down-to-earth guys who've got radical ambition, but they've also got flaws, and they understand they're not going to do it all on their own, not without the accountability, not without the feedback, not without the support. But it makes no sense to me to take on people as clients who I don't like as people, because again, I'm thinking through second-order consequences. Okay, if I take this person on, now I've just got an expensive headache. Now I have to invite him to retreat. Now I have to spend more time with him. Fuck that. Fuck that. So yeah, there's a strict selection process for people who work with me. So if you're accepted into my community, then that's probably the highest compliment that I can pay you, because you're somebody that I would actually like to help. And this is how the best businesses operate. Most people in this space, they're just looking for quick cash, right? Oh yeah, this person will do. Yeah, he's got a bit of money. Don't really care too much about his background. Oh, there's a few red flags here and there, but I'll take him on. Fuck that shit. That's not how the best in the world, don't think that way. They view everything through second order consequences. Like, what's the long-term impact of this? All right. And that's how you win. It's long-term thinking. So seduction is sales. Go out there with the mindset that you are learning sales whilst you're learning approaching. And I think the younger you can start with this, the better. Like, we've got guys in the Entourage who are in their early 20s, right? And the very fact that they've got this skill set down now, just think about that in 10 years from now. I remember one of the guys that I coached early on in my coaching career, Reece, worked with him. He was 19 years old. 19 years old. And for him, it wasn't even about the women. Yeah, he got dates, he got girlfriend experiences, but he wanted to improve himself. He wanted to go 10 years down the line. And by the time he got to 28, 29, he wanted to just be so unrecognizable to other people around his age that nobody else could compete with him anymore. So he got started at 19. One of our other Entourage members, Daniel, who's 21, he recently did an approach in a library, and he pulled a woman from the library at 21 years old, a woman who was older than him, purely from the audacity and the skills and the accountability that he's got from the group. He posted a message into our private WhatsApp group, and he's like, boys, this thing happened. I honestly can't believe it. I'm 21. This woman's older than me, and I managed to pull her back. And like, they were having like regular experiences together. So shout out to Mr. Daniel. I just think that's fucking awesome. Like, the earlier you can get started with this skill, the better. So understand, seduction is sales, right? Seduction is sales. We are learning influence. We are learning persuasion. We are learning how to get what we want. But also, the whole point, as far as I'm concerned, with capitalism is both people walk away from that deal thinking they got the better end of the bargain. It shouldn't be, I win, so that person loses. That's some bullshit zero-sum game. No, both people win. Yeah? So it's like, when guys pay me money, I win because I get the compliment knowing that I've put value out there, that somebody wants to join and deems the Entourage a place that they want to exist. But they win because they get the community, they get the one-to-one coaching, they get the 90 days at least of support, they get the one-to-one calls, they get the group coaching calls, they get invitations to our 5-day Renaissance retreat. So it's a win-win. Yeah, and that's what we want to be focused on when we're going out there. It's not what can I take, it's what can I give. If you're value focused when you're leaving your house, like, how can I make the world a better place today? How can I make all of these women, regardless of the outcome, feel beautiful, desired, and sexy? How can I make the world a better place? Can Call Approach change the world? Maybe it can change someone's world. And I think once we understand that, like, dude, we don't know how far these positive reverberations are going to ricochet. Just because you're nice to a woman today, maybe you give her a compliment, maybe she's 38 years old, maybe she's not been complimented in 20 years. Now she goes home, if she's got children, she's a better mother. Her children feel more loved. Maybe they get better grades in school. And maybe because they get better grades in school, they go to a better university. And because they go to a better university, they get a better degree. And maybe they become a doctor. And one day they save someone's life, all because they felt more loved in their household. And that came about from your decision to go out, approach, and be value focused, right? So you've got no idea where these approaches are going to take you. And one of my favorite mindsets, which is, it's always helped me, when I was going through those emotional roller coasters, those dark nights of the soul, when I went out and I got like 20 phone numbers and every single number just flaked, I didn't hear from the woman again. Like, that stings, man. That stings. The thing that always kept me steady, especially in the early stages, was The knowing that I'm only ever one approach away from my entire life changing. You are only ever one approach, one connection, one email away from everything changing. Your dating life, your fitness life, your financial life. You're only ever one away. And that's what gives you optimism in the absence of certainty. That's what gives you the confidence, knowing I'm only one away. I could get rejected 100 times in a row, but the 101st approach could be the wife-worthy woman who's going to be the mother of my children. And that's what we want to focus on. It's who we're becoming, and also we're only ever one approach away from our entire lives changing. And then the final underground principle I wanted to share with you, which, it's basically been underscored in all of this stream, but just reiteration is consolidation. I think we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. The final thing is just having obsession with progression. Like, I am ruthless with my ambition. I am radical with my desire to want to improve, not just on a call approach sense, but on a life game front. Yeah, it's not day game, it's not night game, it's not fucking sunset game. As far as I'm concerned, this is life game, yeah? So let's stop being complacent. Let's stop resting on our laurels. Maybe you went out today and you were consistent at the gym, you did some approaches, you sent out some emails, you started to build your business rather than watching TV, you meditated. That needs to be repeated. Yeah, we are what we practice. So it's not just doing it once and then forgetting about it. Obsession with progression. As soon as you've achieved one goal, where else can you evolve? I made $42,000. Rather than going chilling on a beach, I started learning Muay Thai. I put myself into that animalistic environment because I wanted to continue leveling up. I wanted to continue being the version of myself that my girlfriend fell for in the first place. More than that, I wanted to become a completely different person. Yeah. So having that obsession with progression, it's in our Entourage creed. So when you join the Entourage, you'll get a copy of the Entourage Creed. This is a set of principles that we operate by. I've shared it in one of the live streams, actually. You can go back a couple of live streams ago. I shared the entire creed. But obsession with progression is at the core of everything that we do. Yeah, we are either growing or we're stagnating. There is no maintenance. There is no in between. You're either winning or you're losing, right? And I think we have to make a decision, for me anyway. I make a decision every day to show up. Even if I'm not in the mood, even if I don't feel like it. I wake up most days and quite honestly, I can't be arsed with the day that's in front of me. I'm like, okay, I need to hit a quality live stream today. I need to go to Muay Thai. I need to train at the gym. I need to send out emails. I need to check in with my clients. I need to schedule loads of different shit. I need to take my fucking girlfriend to the cinema. I replace it all with, I get to. Like, there is no sympathy. It's everything that I'm doing is exactly what I've chosen. And even though when I wake up in the morning, I've got that avalanche of anxiety, I'm getting bombarded by my own bullshit. I would like nothing more than just to roll over and go back to sleep. But I've got responsibility. And I think the more responsibility we can take on, the better men that we become. I think a lot of people try and run away from those quote unquote negative human emotions, anxiety, stress, depression. Those are my driving force. Like, if I don't feel stressed, if I don't feel anxious, if I don't have these severe moments of doubting myself, or feeling depressed, feeling lost and hopeless, then I feel as though there's something wrong with me. And maybe I'm fucked in the head a little bit, but I feel like if you've been watching these live streams consistently, then you probably feel something similar. Like, I would love to say I'm motivated by those lovey-dovey emotions, but no, I'm motivated by the fact that I'm pissed off. Yeah, I spent a long time of my life feeling pissed off, feeling as though I didn't belong, feeling like a loser, feeling left out, feeling looked over, feeling as though I'd been dealt a bad hand, feeling as though no one understood me, never feeling important, never feeling truly loved or wanted or seen. And again, the adult is developed to protect the child. But I think what is great and what I'm proud of about me is I didn't let those emotions destroy me. I transmuted my pain into power. I turned my wounds into wisdom. And that's where my driving force is. Yeah, it's waking up and feeling pissed off, waking up and feeling that I could wake up on any given day and everything could be taken away from me. Yeah, and I love that. I love the competition. I love the drive and the wanting to be better. And it's like, it's me versus me. I think that's kind of like the eighth point, really. It's always us versus us. Like, whatever other people are doing, whatever other noise is going on with the world. It's like, it's me versus me. Like, I don't live in the ordinary world anymore. Like, people will talk to me about the news or family affairs or what's going on in fucking Kenya. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm so laser focused on my mission. I've already rejected everything from my reality that doesn't resonate with me. I left my hometown of Barrow-in-Furness because that small town mentality is a silent killer, right? It's that crabs in a bucket. People want to see you do well. They don't want to see you do better than them because it holds a mirror up to who they could have been. I'll get messages on Facebook from my family being like, oh, I've just heard people died in Thailand. Oh, you're going to Dubai. Is Dubai safe right now? I'm just like, I don't even respond to them because I'm like, what are you even trying to attempt? So, okay, you could say, oh, it's because they care about you. No, it's because they're fucking bored and they don't have anything going on in their lives. All they do is watch the news for 10 hours a day. So you need to be selective about who you're spending time with because we do become what we surround ourselves with. I was on a coaching call yesterday, or an application call, I should say, with an awesome guy who was interested in joining the Entourage. It wasn't the right financial fit. However, he made a really good point. He was like, you could have two people. One could be brought up in Beijing. Another one could be brought up in London. And they are influenced by their environments in terms of the language that they learn. Through no decision of their own, they learn through osmosis, right? So I thought that was a really poignant, beautiful example that your environment, your surroundings will dictate the reality that you live. So yeah, I think if there's one final calling for me, it's obsession with progression. Live a life free from bullshit. Do not sleepwalk through life and wake up when your best years are behind you. Cold approach is the most aggressive form of self-development. And look, you might be one of those guys who's getting brainwashed by the brain dead into wanting to want what other people have told you should want to want. Oh, cold approach, pick up, it's low value. Oh, cold approach is dead. It's like, it makes no sense. All this is talking to people. That's it. At some point, you're going to need the communication skills to talk to women. Yeah? You can't live your entire life online. Or if you do, then you're going to be some lonely motherfucker, right? You are going to need to learn at some point the art of seduction. You're going to learn how to communicate in business, in relationships, in your social scene. You're going to need to learn the art of communication. And that's what we're teaching. It's the art of seduction. It's the art of influence. It's power. Yeah? Power. That's what this is. It's learning how to get what you want. And when you get what you want, everybody around you should win as well. So yeah, all this notion like, oh, cold approach doesn't work, or cold approach is low value, or it's all about like fucking Tinder or whatever. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's just talking to people. The better you can get at talking to people, the more money you make, the better relationships you're going to have, the more people are going to love you, right? So I hope that this has been useful. I'm just a 28-year-old kid. I probably know nothing. The more I learn, the less I know. But if you have enjoyed this live stream, drop it a like. And if you want me to go deeper on these concepts, because I haven't gone like crazy deep on this stream, or maybe I have, I don't know. I'm just kind of learning out loud. But yeah, download my free courses. I've got Conversation Killer, which gives you the complete beginner's blueprint for daytime call approach, and also my Most Fuckable Man course, which I've referenced multiple times across this stream. That will teach you how to improve yourself externally, but also internally. So go through those courses. They're absolutely free. And yeah, I hope that you boys have enjoyed this. Drop it a like, consider subscribing, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Mwah! Love ya.